Tuesday, June 28th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East here with you. A lot to talk about in today's edition of the video. Good thunderstorm chances around the region today and into this evening. Then a little bit of a break from the humidity and the heat. And also, as we get into the 4th of July weekend, the heat returns. I also want to hit on the tropics, and we could be seeing our first classified system of the season beginning to brew. Now let's look back at the thunderstorm reports from yesterday. They were scattered around mainly North Carolina here in our region, and we had a number of wind damage reports, and even a tree and a home in Stokes County. And I think it's going to be a pretty active day today. Now there's the actual day one convective outlook. The slight risk is running from southwesternmost North Carolina down through a good chunk of western South Carolina, much of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Arkansas, northeastern Louisiana. But even though you don't see much of North Carolina included into that slight risk, I still think we're going to see a decent number of severe thunderstorm warnings this afternoon. There's your temperature map this morning. Very warm and muggy, some 80-plus degree readings in Arkansas over toward Memphis, and a lot of 70-plus degree readings here in the Carolinas this morning. There's your radar imagery. Had some pretty big thunderstorms around yesterday evening. In fact, parts of the Triad got over 2 inches of rain, at least in the Triad viewing area, especially up in Surrey County and some of the Virginia border areas. And this morning, notice these thunderstorms here back right at the left-hand part of your screen here, Tennessee and Kentucky. That's where the disturbance that will likely play a role in our weather later on into the day today. Now, this is a couple of the model products. This is the SBC Wharf. And notice it fires up a decent coverage of storms here. Let's see, that's valid at 21Z. So that would be 5 o'clock late this afternoon. And you see a good scattering of thunderstorms developing. Here's another high-resolution model output here. This is the RPM, and this is valid 8 o'clock this evening, and that's when we begin to see the storms pressing off further east into the Piedmont, closer to shifting from the I-85 corridor to the Interstate 95 corridor. Also, a weak cold front approaching. The upper-level energy with this is way up into the Great Lakes. Notice the heat ridge is centered over Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. Now, let's go a little bit further in time here. This is Friday morning, the heat ridge sitting over the Ozarks, and still a little bit of a trough hanging on to the extreme eastern part of the country. But we see that ridge try to build in here again over the upcoming 4th of July weekend and into early next week. And the heat, I do think, will begin to crank pretty good here for the 4th of July weekend. Today looks like a lot of lower 90s, maybe some mid-90s in some of the Piedmont, and a good scattering of showers and storms this afternoon into this evening. Tomorrow, though, we begin to see the drier air move on in. And that is going to result in decreasing levels of humidity here for the Interstate 85 corridor tomorrow. And then we're in really good shape here Thursday. Some morning lows Thursday morning, well down into the 60s, highs, upper 80s, and low 90s Thursday afternoon. Friday back into the low to mid 90s, and then it looks like mid to maybe some upper 90s here on Saturday and Sunday as the heat and humidity begin to crank. And I will mention the chance of a couple of isolated late day storms for Sunday and then on the 4th of July as well. But the heat and humidity will be back for all the 4th of July activities across the region. All right, let's shift gears a bit, talk about the tropics. Up to a 50% probability of development there for that area I've been mentioning to you here that's moving from the Yucatan Peninsula and the southernmost Gulf of Mexico there in the Bay of Campeche. You look at the satellite loop here, and there's already some cyclonic circulation with this. So it wouldn't shock me at all if this did become a classified tropical system. Now there's the spaghetti charts on this. Almost unanimously, the modeling takes this into Mexico, and it's so far south that's almost the inevitable solution. A couple of the select models here. This is the Canadian out at 48 hours taking this into Mexico. The European, much the same. Hurricane Wharf, also much the same, taking this into Mexico. So it looks like still whether or not this becomes an organized system, the result probably about the same, in that flooding rains will be the biggest problem with this in Mexico. Texas could use some of those rains. It looks like a lot of that's going to stay south of the Lone Star State, though. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great Tuesday, and God bless.